Okay, the first thing you're gonna see here is this VFD warning. A VFD warning basically means that, it essentially means that there's a warning on the VFD, which in this case was that the e-stop was commanded. So what you're gonna do for that is, you'll just do start, stop, and clear fault, and that warning should go away. All right, so if you hit this e-stop for any reason, and I click start, nothing is going to happen. So to get rid of any of these, so this e-stop engaged VFD fault, to get rid of those, pop this out, click start, stop, and clear fault. All right, so that's the process to do this. Now, there's a couple different ways you guys can use the software, okay? So I'm gonna go through everything that doesn't have to do with the model positioning system first, all right, and the sting balance. The first is going to be control mode. So you can control it using two different ways. You can use RPM or airspeed. I recommend using RPM because what RPM does is it spins the motor at a specified RPM, and then whatever airspeed comes out of it is typically what it's going to be. The reason I don't like using airspeed is because the feedback loop on this is really bad. So like it just puts a lot of strain on the motor to turn the RPM at different turn the motor at different RPMs, and it just puts a lot of fatigue on the motor that doesn't necessarily need to be there. So I would say run it at RPM mode and then change the RPM to match the airspeed that you guys need, okay? And honestly, the airspeed will drop a little bit. So for example, if I have this in here, and I put it up to say, I don't know, 1,000 RPM, say it's reading 40 meters per second, right? If I turn this all the way to 30 degrees, the airspeed is going to go down. And that's because you've increased the cross-sectional area and the pressure drag on that wing. Mm-hmm. So the back pressure increases a little bit, and then because of that, your airspeed goes down, okay? So that is the only drawback with RPM mode. If you keep it on airspeed mode, it will increase the fan's RPM to compensate, but like I said, the feedback loop on it is just not right. All right, the next thing here is going to be your airspeed source. This is always on static ring. The only time you will use pitot probe is if you actually connect something into these two static ports down over here. And I assume you're never going to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think
You will?
No, I think you're right.
Okay. If you do need to use pitot probe for whatever reason, let me know. But even if you do select it, you're going to get this error that says make sure the pitot probe is actually installed. The reason that error shows up is because if you do airspeed mode and the pitot probe here, and say I set this to 10 meters per second, because there's nothing plugged in there, it's just going to keep increasing the RPM of the fan because there's no feedback on it. It's going to keep reading 0 meters per second because that's reading 0 meters per second. So anyway, RPM and static ring. Now to actually start the motor, two things. One, don't go past the fan anymore the moment you turn the VFD on. So now I'm going to click start, and it's going to idle at around 100 RPM. All right? And now I can set this to any RPM that I want to. The maximum RPM you can set this to is 2,300 RPM. All right? So I'm going to set this to say 500. And it's not going to set that RPM until I hit this set button over here. And now you'll see that the RPM of this fan is up to 500. And this airspeed is wildly incorrect. Can anyone tell me why?
Well, where is it reading the pressure from?
The static ring. This one right here.
Oh. Is it because this is open?
No. Two more guesses.
Oh, shoot.
Yes, exactly. So, if I click stop here, also on this wind tunnel there is an e-stop. Please don't hit this, it's really annoying sometimes to get it to pop out. and clear this fault. So just hit stop on here unless something dangerous is happening, then by all means hit the emergency stop. But just to stop the tunnel, don't hit this. Now, the reason we're reading pore pressure is because we didn't dynamic pressure tear, all right? So before you start the wind tunnel, always tear the dynamic pressure. You don't have to tear the pitot pressure because that's only worth it if you guys are using the pitot probe. But since you're using I usually just tear them both anyway, because why not zero everything? Okay. And now, if I set this to 500, you'll get the actual airspeed, which should be at around 10 meters per second. All right. So the RPM to airspeed mapping is pretty linear. So for every 500 meters per second, it's about 10 meters per second. All right. And like I said, you can take this up to, so the nominal RPM of this motor is 1800 RPM. With the VFD, you can overspeed it to about 2300. And that's the highest you can take it. All right. Don't go past 2300. It actually won't, if you put this at like 3000, for example, it's just going to turn it off. All right, so anything past, I think, anything past about 2800 RPM, it's going to start. But you guys can look over here at this RPM gauge on the software, and you'll see that it's not going to go past 2367. All right, that is the maximum you can spin this fan at. But like I said, don't even set anything above 2300. Okay. All right. So like I said, I told you guys how to clear this fault, right?